Somebody in the back, when they close the door, Harvey, whoever it is. Well, good morning, everybody. Good to see you. Here we are, November, before you know it's Christmas is when New Year's is upon us. Another year. If you're all right, we'll salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'm going to introduce John, who's going to announce our visitors today. They're all out visiting someplace else, but we have the main ones here.
Morning, everybody. We have several visitors today. So I'll announce them. Please hold your applause to the end. We have Ed Soll, District Secretary from Representative Amy Schlossberg's office. Chris Nordstrom, District Aide State Senator from State Senator Kevin Rader's office. Leslie Schreiber from the PDSO. Donna Ackerman-White, Vice Mayor Dave Kerner. Juanita Gomez from Representative Schlossberg's office. Diana Johnson, Clerk and Controller's office. Evelyn DePlavy, Aide to Senator Lori Berman. Jenny Cesar, Congressman Lowen Frankel's office. Linda Cherry from Representative Emily Schlossberg's office. Judge Jamie Goodman from Palm Beach County Circuit Court. Joaquin Alazan from Sugar Labor Management Community Action Director. Laura Corey from South Florida Water Management District. Sean Reed from Palm Beach County Water Utilities. Howie Zimmerman from Dorothy Jacks Property Appraiser's office. Rosemary Raymond from Lake Worth Drainage District. Megan White from Commissioner Berger's office. Mike Pratt from the Palm Beach Property Appraiser. Chris Klein from Palm Beach Sheriff's office. Pedro Huarte from U.S. Census. Natalie Castaneda from SDE. Marco Arribado from SDE, pardon me if I butchered it. And Gabriella Ferraro from Palm Beach County Tax Collector. Let's give them all a big round of applause.
As usual, we will start our meeting off announcing Captain Shand, who will give us a report for the day. What a month. Hello, Captain. You made it.
Good morning.
With him, of course, is Lieutenant Morales.
Good morning. That applause is a little weak. I thought I made you upset already. 9:30. I hope everybody's doing well. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, I won't get yelled at again. So I hope everybody's doing well, gearing up for the holidays. And with that time of joyous families, and friends gathering, comes the criminals. They come too. So with that being said, I want to talk to you about two really important things. Let me start off with that point. I know a lot of our seasonal residents are coming back into town. Right? You're going to see an uptick in the traffic. You'll see a downtick in patients, including my own. But everything that goes with it, in all honesty, welcome back. Okay, we're glad you're all back in town. But the criminals are going to be preying upon you as well. And I rest assured you have my solemn oath to do my best to protect you and buffer you from them. 2 points. Number one, there's cases, I'm seeing an uptick in the cases that are going around now where we have at least 2 to 3 sometimes people posing as maintenance workers in your communities. I read a couple of log entries just the other day that bothered me, hence why I'm bringing it to you today. Be very, very mindful when you're answering these doors and you're letting people come in your home under the ruse of maintenance, unless you know for sure that it's a maintenance worker, ask a lot of questions, don't let them in, call the office. So in particular, the other day, the lady answered the door, her husband was there. Two gentlemen came to the door wearing just a glove on the right hand. That should give you a clue, right? Where's the left hand? Both of them right hand. So with that, they told them that they were new maintenance workers. They realized they were just coming back in town, and they fooled them, tricked them into believing that the association or the community changed maintenance people. Seemed plausible. And while one of the gentlemen distracted the lady and the gentleman, the other gentleman went around the back and got into the apartment and sold several $1,000s worth of jewelry and cash. All right, so what are we grateful for? We're grateful that nobody was hurt. But I don't want to push this envelope too far to where someone's going to get hurt one day. So please, if you're just getting back into town, if your friends and family just getting back in town, get with them. Tell them, listen, everything's good. There's no new maintenance, no nothing. If you are just getting back in town, reach out for your friends and family in the neighborhood. Ask. Ask, has anything changed that I need to know about before I start answering the door to workers? All right? Second thing is, please, also on that point, as families are coming back in or residents coming back into town, we're creatures of habit. You want to go to dinner. You want to go to your favorite spots. So we're starting to see an uptick in these burglaries as well. While you're out at dinner, it's happened in a couple, I won't name the locations, it's happened to a couple of local communities. While families are out, people are going in, breaking through, even hurricane plate glass, they're busting through. Right? So listen, if you don't have the senses, if you don't have the sensor, the pounding sensor where if you pound on the glass, it'll set your alarm off, have your alarm company come back and install it. It's worth it. So what that is, if they're pounding on the glass, the vibration sensors will go off, the alarm goes off, they can't get in. They're defeating hurricane glass, getting through, punching through, having their way in the house. Even when the alarms are going off, they're very targeted and they're out. I assure you, we're going to catch them. But I want to minimize my damage and my victims, if you may, before we catch them. All right? Between the hours of 5 and 8 is where we're looking, where it's happening. So what I want you to do is please leave. If you go out and live your lives, but put your lights on. Make it look like someone's in that home, even while you're not there. Two reasons. Number one, it tells the bad guy, well, maybe we shouldn't do this. And number two, at least I don't want you going back into a dark house. Okay? With the daylight savings changing, it's getting darker earlier as well. So please just see if you can remember that. All right, so I brought Lieutenant Morales. Come on up. You can clap for him. He's a good guy. So there's a system out there called Ring. Has anybody heard of Ring? Okay. I want to just let you guys know we're not advocating this, we're not promoting this, but we're going to inform you. Lieutenant Morales went to a recent training on it, so I asked him to speak of it, of the technology that's out there with Ring that's really helping us combat some of it and apprehend some of these suspects afterwards, right? If I don't see you, have a great Thanksgiving, and I'll see you in December. Thank you.
Hello, good morning everyone. Listen, I know we have a jam-packed agenda, so I'll make this brief, like what Captain Sant was talking about. This application that I'm going to speak of, the name of it is called Neighbors, okay? And it can be downloaded on your smartphone, on an iPad, or your handheld device. It's absolutely free, okay? And there's two aspects to it. There's the user aspect, which is the community, which is you all, and then there's also the law enforcement aspect and how we use it to solve crimes, okay? So show of hands real quick. How many of you all have, let's say like one of those Ring products like the doorbell camera or any other type of surveillance camera system at your home, okay? All right, the others that don't, you still can benefit from this app. And I'll give you a couple examples how, okay? The first, typically what you see from the community is they'll post things such as information about lost pets or suspicious people knocking on doors like Captain Sant talked about, solicitors, things like that. The second aspect of it is the law enforcement. I'll give you a real scenario that occurred a couple months back in the north end of the county, okay? There was a armed carjacking that occurred, okay? So the sheriff's office gets there, uses this application, the Ring application, sends out you're able to create a radius to communicate with people within that area. So we created a radius of that specific community and sent out very limited information. Said there was armed carjacking that occurred at this date and time. Please review your cameras or report any suspicious activity that you may have seen. So the lady across the street had a camera above her garage pointing to where this armed carjacking occurred. So she opens up the app, looks at her video on her camera, and sure enough, she captures the entire armed carjacking on video. So this application allows you to communicate in real time back to the sheriff's office. So she says, holy cow, this happened. I have it on video. Here's the description of the suspects. Sends it back to the sheriff's office. In turn, our dispatch center gives that information to the responding road patrol deputies, and they make an arrest on the suspects before they're able to even leave the community. How about that? Incredible. That's one example of how we're using it. Okay? And I know specifically the sheriff's office, I can't speak for other departments, but specifically here in the south end of the county, our detective bureaus are using this application on a daily basis. We're really trying to stay up to date with the intel, with the technology to solve these crimes. These are tools that detectives can use to really reach out to each one of you in the community. And in turn, the whole point of this is to create a safer neighborhood. So I'm going to leave some information here. I'll have more details on how you can download it and so forth. I know Dr. Venacore is going to send out an email with the attachment with more information. So I appreciate your time. And per Leslie, on behalf of the sheriff, we wish everybody have a blessed and safe Thanksgiving. Thank you. All right.
Chief Dooley, are you ordered, Chief? All right, here comes the chief. Do we play the march? Chief Dooley is our new chief here. We honor him for being here, our chief.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to also introduce one of my battalion chiefs, Terrell Patterson. He works with me on the Bravo shift. Tremendous leader within our organization, and I'm happy you can attend with me today. I just wanted to kind of go over with you some of the calls, some of the things that have been keeping us busy over the last month. Throughout the county, we've been seeing a small downtick, if you will, in call volume. We're not sure whether or not that's been attributed to our mobile integrated health platform, which is addressing our high-frequency callers and getting them some help along the way. I mean, it's been working for fire prevention for a lot of years, so now we're seeing it play its part in the health and safety of our loved ones in the community. So, with that said, Station 41 this month ran 607 calls. For the year, Station 41 is running 6,562 calls, and it's leading the county as far as call volume goes. I was speaking of the downtick. Last year, they ran 6,629 this year. Last year, they ran 6,500. So, small downtick. We're going to track it. It's still too early to tell if this is going to be a trend or not, but we're happy to see it working that way right now. Station 45 over in Kings Point, 584 calls this past month. Station 42 on Hagen Ranch, 397. Station 47 over on Enterprise, 330 calls. Station 44, 307. Station 46, 278. Station 48, 257. And Station 52 ran 146. To give you an idea of the types of calls we're running for the month, medical calls, we've ran 2,432 in the battalion. We've ran 180 fire alarms. Vehicle accidents, we've ran 132. Our public assist, where we're going out and assisting people with non-emergent type of scenarios, we ran 92. We've ran 24 investigations, 19 carbon monoxide alarms. We've had 10 structure fires for the month. Power lines down, we had 7. Vehicle fires, we've run 2. Brush fires, we've run 2. Chemical and hazardous conditions, we've run 2. Police or EOD assists, we ran 2. Gas leaks, 1. And we had 1 child locked in a car that we got out safely. So that's been a rundown of the types of calls we've had. Just like to mention also, Lance Bergwitz is in the back with our pet safety stickers. That is a program that Fire Rescue is working with, and he's assisting us with that. So We'd like to take advantage of that. They're great little stickers you put on the front of your window, and it lets us know, and it's been effective on calls we've ran, that you have a little pet inside, which we all know can be like one of our loved ones. And that way there, when we focus on doing our searches, we're actually looking for the pets too. So, very important program. Dr. Benacourt, thanks for coming by and seeing me this week. We're looking forward to putting on a really nice presentation in December, and I hope you all can attend. We're going to have our new EMS chief, Charlie Coyle, here, along with Dr. Lieberman, is it, from Delray Hospital. And we're also going to have our assistant fire marshal, Dave Dorita, here, who just joined us. So important safety messages come with that. We hope that you join us, and thank you as always very much for letting me represent you and having the opportunity to come meet with you today.
I have a question, Chief. What do you do in the spare time?
Good question. I am a father of two beautiful children. I have a son, Daniel, that's 15, in high school, straight A student. And my daughter, Michelina, is 12. She's in middle school, also straight A student and a competitive dancer. But they keep me very busy, and I enjoy it very much. Thank you for asking.
Okay, Chief, I'll be glad to have you. Thank you. Okay. Karen Bill? Karen is the school board representative. Oh, Tony, hold on, Karen. Tony, you know, the chief was supposed to tell him. I arranged that. There you go, Tony.
Karen, I'm very sorry. So thank you, Dr. Laurie, and everyone for having us here today. So I'm here representing Local 2928, union that represents your firefighters and paramedics. So really quick, just to tack on some things the chief had said. I want to thank you guys. I don't see Commissioner Berger here today, but thank you for your voting and for the commission for what they did this last couple of years with our contract and the monies they're investing back into fire rescue. We have some additional personnel that are going to 2 stations in your area to help run those calls that Chief Tazi was mentioning. So you're getting some more people on the ground, some more people in the trucks to help you and your family members for the calls that we're running. So that's going to be very beneficial. Battalion 4, which is your battalion, as well as Battalion 5, which is where I'm based out of, are busier places, so we're getting some more personnel down there as well, so that's going to be a big help. I also wanted to mention quickly, last month we had our 35th anniversary event at headquarters. I know some of you were there. I know Bob was there with Rose. It was really an excellent event. So again, I want to thank you guys for allowing us to do our jobs and helping us help you in the communities. We had an event at Grand Villas, a couple different CPR events throughout Pat 4. So if you guys need anything, don't hesitate to ask. We're here to help with everything we can. And that's it. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Karen, come on. Karen represents us on the school board. And there was a bunch of doing there with some new stuff.
So good morning, Delray Alliance. Greetings from the school board. So the burning question in the room today was what happened with that principal, right? First of all, I want to thank you, those who sent us emails. They worked. And yes, the superintendent brought forward a motion for us to fire the principal, who said that some people believe that the Holocaust never occurred. I don't agree with his rationale. I will tell you that as a school board member, I don't have the right to fire a principal. It has to come through the superintendent. So you may have been reading in the press that it was about not returning phone calls, etc., and he is going to sue us, but rest assured, I'm going to be out there fighting for the right thing. Because in his, when they questioned him, he said that he doesn't have to proselytize about religion. And all of us know the Holocaust was not religion. It's a historical fact. So I will be out there for you. The other thing I want to tell you about is we were invited, the school district, to join in a lawsuit that is a class action lawsuit against the biggest maker of vaping devices. You've been reading in the press about children dying from things they put in those devices, and their health is being significantly impaired. It is costing the school board nothing to join in this lawsuit, and when we prevail, all we have to do is pay the cost, but this will help us in getting the message out, because that company, Juul, has targeted our youth. More so than when back in the day when all of us smoked and we didn't know the harmful effects. They have gone out and targeted young people to use the vaping devices. So I just want you to know that we have joined in that lawsuit, and we will keep you posted. It's actually a way that we will receive money, but more importantly, we will be getting the message out at no cost to us. So thank you very much. I know all of you are interested in education, and I can't thank you enough for your support of our school board. Thank you.
We have an unexpected guest. Here he comes, everybody knows him, but I'll give you his name, Dave Ehrenberg, our attorney general.
Thank you. And good morning, Alliance. How are you? Oh, thank you so much. I'm Dave Ehrenberg, honored to be your state attorney. I just wanted to say hello and thank the first responders. Love working with these guys, the police, firefighters, and thank you for all your participation, your interest in our office. You know, we're having a press conference tomorrow to announce what we're doing on Amendment 4. Right? Now, Amendment 4 was passed by about 2/3 of the voters. It's to allow people who have paid their debt to society, who have served their time, to be able to register to vote. It doesn't allow former murderers or sex offenders. It's for everyone else, just like every other state, to register to vote. Florida was the holdout. And to me, as state attorney, as a chief prosecutor of the county, I thought that it would help public safety to allow people who have paid their debt to society to re-enter society. Because our job is to keep the community as safe as possible. And if you create a permanent subclass of society, a group of people who never will have equality with everyone else ever again, you're going to create a society where a resentful group will commit more crimes. If you tell a group of people, hey, no matter what you do, you will never be equal, then they will then turn to a life of crime. And to reduce the recidivism rate, it's important to allow people to believe in hope that tomorrow will be better than today. And if you squelch that hope, and you say, no, it's going to be harder for you to get a job, it's going to be harder for you to vote, you are not part of us, then they're going to resent us and start committing crime. So, because of that, I was out front saying we need to allow them to re-enter society. So 2/3 of the voters agreed. And then the legislature said, not so fast. The legislature passed a bill that made it a lot harder for them to register to vote. Now, I was pretty upset with that because I thought that undermined the will of the voters, and also that jeopardized public safety. So the state's attorneys around the state, a few of us, have gotten together and we've found a way to require people to still pay off their costs and fees and complete their sentences before they register to vote. But the fact that they cannot afford to pay their court costs or their fines should not be a barrier to registering to vote. We think that there should not be debtors' prisons, that if you cannot afford your court costs, you should still be obligated to pay the court costs, but that alone should not bar you from voting. And so we're announcing a program on this tomorrow. It should get a lot of attention. And I just want to also thank you for your support, because members of this group have been part of this effort. We're just trying to realize the potential of Amendment 4 and realize the will of the voters, 2/3 of which supported this effort. So I want to say thank you. The numbers are good. As you've seen, that I'm on this national group to fight animal cruelty. I want to leave you with this. You can tell a lot about society by how it treats its most vulnerable citizens, and that includes our pets. And because of Congressman Ted Deutsch, there's a new federal law that criminalizes animal cruelty at the federal level. In the past, it was all local, it was all state, but now we're getting tough on it at the federal level. So yes, the federal government can occasionally do something right. So I want to thank you, Alliance, for all your support. I love serving you as your state attorney. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Dave, we'll be glad to see you. Let's see. We're going to go on. Yes, I'm going to call on our sponsor of today's breakfast. Senior helpers, and his name is Michael Moe. I think I said it right. Come on, Michael. You met all our guests. Tell them what you're all about.
Thank you and good morning. I want to thank the Alliance of Delray for allowing us to sponsor your event today. I would like to thank the first responders, the police department, the fire department for all that you do and keeping us safe and putting your own self in harm's way for us. We are senior helpers. We are a one-stop shop for you as far as in-home care goes. And today I really want to talk about the fact that people, really quickly, Florida allows for different types of home care. And in the 12 years I've done business, I have seen people call up and just say, your home care, what do you cost? Florida allows for two types of home cares, and I want you to understand, we are an agency, and I work with agencies that provide Medicare in your home, Trilogy, as well as myself, and what we do is we provide nurse-supervised care. Florida allows for other home care companies called registries that are independent contractors, and you guys need to know. And on the part of protection that the police were talking about, we are nurse supervised with W-2 employees, background check supervised, licensed, bonded, insured, workers' comp. Where the other companies, and they're cheap, but there's a reason. There's no workers' comp, they may or may not have liability insurance, they're not allowed to be supervised. They don't tell you that, so I want you to be aware, and that is my goal today in the short, brief speech, is that when you're looking for somebody to take care of you, your loved one, in your home, who would you prefer to have? Would you prefer to have somebody who, if they gets hurt, it's your responsibility because they're an independent contractor? Or would you prefer to have somebody who has workers' comp, liability insurance, is supervised by a nurse, make sure that everything is going well, and has a company behind you? That is senior helpers, and that is what we work with Trilogy as well for that. Question? Yes? Question? Oh.
My name is Jane. I'm a nurse with Trilogy Home Care, and our services are covered by Medicare 100%. My whole goal is to set up services in the patient's home to help them age gracefully and achieve a higher quality of life. So please come see us after the meeting, and we'll tell you all about us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. With that, I'm going to turn the mic over to Dr. Vinicor, and she had a bunch of good information for you.
Yes, a whole bunch, but really quick. Really quick with the information, because you have it all on your desks, and we're going to go right into the program. One of the most important things that we do is put on some of these events that are interesting, unusual, and one of a kind, and that is that Get to Know Palm Beach County Expo, February 7th, Friday, 9 to 12. Please get there and announce it to your communities and bring people here, because this is going to be a one-stop shop for seeing almost all of the offices that are in Palm Beach County that are working for us. We're even adding more to this card. The Tourist Council will be there, Palm Train will be there, and we'll have even more. And also, just one other thing, bring this home with you too, this piece of paper that has the special events on it. And we're going to be having the mature driver course at these events as well. And we have a board certification course, and you can all register for that online. Just email or phone me. We bring lots of information here. And today's program is a big one because the election process is so important. And the census dovetails on that. Very important, because we need to be counted. And we're going to be hearing from two prominent people today. The first one is Wendy Sartori Link. She is our Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections. Yes. And she's bringing us an information on volunteer opportunities, voter registration. She's brought us equipment to look at. This is fantastic. We're going to follow and segue right into the 2020 census with Lisa Della Rionda from Palm Beach County Director of Public Affairs. And she'll be coming up to speak after that. So we're going to have about a 20-minute presentation from the Supervisor of Elections and about 10 minutes about the census, and then we can take questions after that. Please help me welcome Wendy Sartori Link.
Good morning, and thank you for having us here. I hope you all have had the opportunity. If you didn't, I hope you'll take the chance before you leave to go over and check out our voting equipment. I'd like to introduce to you part of our A-team at our office. We have Natalie Alvarez and Marcus Arbiata. So they are here, and they are able to walk you through the equipment. We also have papers here for you to update your signature, information on vote in honor of a vet, which we'll talk about, adopt a precinct and things like that. So anything you need to do, please take the opportunity to try out the new equipment. Wanted to just spend a couple minutes with you walking through a couple of stats and things that we've got, information I think you'll find useful, and then I'm happy to answer any questions that you've got. So our registered voters as of the 4th, just a couple days ago, we have 966,253 active registered voters. Numbers are up there. You can see it's about 42% registered to the Democratic Party, 30% are NPA or minor parties, and about 28% is a Republican Party. And those percentages have stayed pretty consistent throughout the year, but we are continuing to get more and more registrations. Expect we'll be at 1 million before the, probably over 1 million before we hit November of next year. So a couple things that we're working on in the office that we want you to know about. We have a new voter registration system. We were one of 3 counties that originally weren't on what's called VR systems. It was us, Sarasota, and Orange County. When we learned that Orange County and Sarasota were both switching over as well, we had a lot of incentive to make the change. We didn't want to be the only county that was on an older system and didn't have all the sort of perks that we would have on this new system. So we've made that change. I think you're going to find it very user-friendly. A lot of the stuff is what happens in the back office, so you won't see it, but it will be a little bit of change when you're at the polls. Certainly, we have a lot more information available to you from our website because of things that we're able to transfer directly over in our efforts to be very transparent with you. The new website is something that I think is very exciting. Hopefully you'll take a look at it, pbcelections.org. We have revamped it completely. We understand from folks that the old one was a little difficult. You couldn't find always the information you were looking for. I think this one you'll find very user-friendly. If you find that there are things that you find challenging, we're still tweaking it as we go along. So we're very open to any suggestions you have and hope that you'll call our office and tell them that you want to talk to somebody about the website. There are going to be some neat things you can do. On election day, for example, you'll be able to see in real time what the voter turnout is at each precinct. And so you'll be able to see how many people are coming in to vote. And that'll be up until about 6 o'clock at night, probably 6 to 6:15. We'll have to take that down because then we'll be getting it ready to start receiving results to come in. But I think people are going to be very happy to see how the participation is going as the day moves on. Also, for early voting, we'll have the ability for you to be able to see what the wait time is at each of the early voting locations throughout the day. So you'll be able to look and see if you're living close to 2 different ones, which one might be better for you to go to decrease your lines. Also, we have security enhancements. Of course, those are always, that's a constant. We are working with both the FBI and Department of Homeland Security on a regular basis. They are going through, they look at all of our systems, they say what they can do, what they would recommend that we do to harden it, ways that we might be able to enhance security. One of the things that we have found is throughout the year, as they've been getting closer and closer to elections, they've kind of quit talking about how we're going to stop things and started talking about what are we going to do when there's an issue. And so we just want to let you know that we are working on backup plans and everything. It's very scary. I can assure you that if it can be done between the FBI, the CIS, which is Center for Internet Security, and the Department of Homeland Security, we're working with them, like I said, on a regular basis and consistently. So if it can be done, Palm Beach County will do it. But nobody can promise you that anybody can completely stop anything. So we're going to have backup plans. All right, if this happens, how do we still assure that our citizens can vote and that their votes can be counted and that they can be accurate? So we are working on that. New programs that we've got, a couple things. The Adopt a Precinct program. For any of you who are involved in charities, 501c3s, churches, temples, schools, we're encouraging folks to adopt a precinct. And what that is you can go in and say, we've got, depending upon the size of volunteer base you have, 6 to 8 people, could be a small precinct, you could have 10 to 12 in a larger one. And we have published how much we're paying for our poll workers. We did get a raise for the poll workers this year, first time you've had a raise in 10 years. So we want to encourage you to take a look at that. And so if you are with a temple, for example, or a charity, you'll say, you'll sign a paper that says, I'm going to work on behalf of the Boys Club, for example. And the Boys Club then will present a form to us, and they'll say, these are our workers. You'll sign on behalf that you are working on their behalf today. You can have signs, they can wear their Boys Club shirts, they can say this precinct is sponsored by them, try to get their information out. And then any of the funds that you would have collected, if you're doing it on their behalf, will be paid to the charity. So it gives the charity an opportunity to interact with the public. It gives us an opportunity to have more people involved in our elections to see how we're doing it, and for us to get new poll workers. Poll workers is something that I know we've talked about before. We need as many as we can get. So we're encouraging everybody to please consider signing up as a poll worker. Another program we're doing is Vote in Honor of a Vet. And it's just, again, it's our way to connect with the community and to help. A lot of times when we go to the schools, we can get them to pre-register or register to vote, but then it's how do we get them out to vote? And how do we tie into this new generation the importance and what people gave up for them to have this right? And so we try to talk about, this isn't just something that every country has. You shouldn't be taking this for granted. People made sacrifices for you to be able to do this. So we have, we're starting this in honor with Veterans Day. It's called Vote in Honor of a Vet, and we'll have a wall of honor. It's a virtual wall of honor. It'll be on our website as well as in our office. In our main office, we'll have a big TV screen that will scroll with information about our vets that have a tie to Palm Beach County. And then we will be presenting on probably star-shaped things as we go out to counties, to the schools. We'll say, do you have a veteran in your family? Or if not, would you like to adopt one of ours? And we'll have information for that person to grab the information about their vet, carry with them. And then on election day, we'll encourage them, and we'll have stickers that say, I voted in honor of a vet, with a place for them to list who they voted in honor of. And so we're just trying to, again, tie ourselves to the community and take the opportunity to thank those who have served. So we have that information here today, and we would encourage you to please sign up for that if you have served. And it could be both veterans and anybody who's in active military service. So if it's not you and you have a family member or friend that you want to include, please give us that information. With the adopted precinct, I should have mentioned in terms of how much you can raise. You can, if we have, say, a 10-person precinct, they can make about $2,240 for the organization. So it's a good chunk of money, and it also, like I said, it gives them the opportunity to connect with the community on behalf of their organization. And what we pay our poll workers now ranges from $190 to $320, depending upon the position. And that, of course, is for a long day, and it's also for the training that you'll do connected to that day. Okay, so the voter education, we're trying to get out every opportunity we can to let people know some of the things that are going to be important for them. Obviously, want to get people, every opportunity to register. So every time we go out, we're taking our voting equipment wherever we can, because we don't want people to say, well, I didn't know how to do it, or I was a little worried about it. For our vulnerable communities as well, we have the Express Vote, which we hope you'll try. It is ADA compliant, but it also will have English, Spanish, and Creole by audio for people to do. It, of course, also has Braille. And it also will have English, Spanish, and Creole in writing, so that every ballot issue will be able to, if somebody has an issue with the language, they'll be able to use our Express Vote for that. So we're trying to get that out. They're able to register. We have information here on your deadlines to register, because we have the book closing is 29 days in the state of Florida before an election, so we want to make sure everybody has that. Also, we're reminding everybody that Florida is a closed primary state, because we have a lot of people who have come from other counties, or other states. And in other states, sometimes an NPA can go and vote for whichever party they want to during a presidential preference primary or during a primary. Of course, in Florida, that's not the case. In Florida, you have to, if it's a partisan race, you have to be registered to the party in which you'd like to vote. So we're wanting to make sure that everybody knows that, because we don't want people to be surprised or turned away on election day because they weren't registered with the right party. So we're trying to get that information out. You'll share that. The restoration of voter rights. David Ehrenberg had mentioned to you the task force that his office is leading. Our office is participating in that as well. And so one of the things that we're finding is there are some little things that the new voter registration forms that are online now that the state has put out. They have 3 different things, and that's required by statute. But if somebody had their rights restored in another state, that isn't actually going to be well covered on that form. So we're able to, the old forms use that. So we have permission to continue using the old forms because we want people to feel confident when they're registering, if their rights have been restored, that they can check the correct box, not worry about it, and not be afraid of that. We're also working with the Department of State to make sure that if they're going to promulgate any rules, that they do that quickly. We're very ministerial, but I can tell you to date, we don't turn people away. If they come and say that their rights have been restored, we give them a voter registration form. We don't question them. We will, if they ask us, we'll tell them, here's some information, and we have it up at the table as well on where they might be able to call if they have any questions. But if they tell us their rights have been restored and they're willing to sign the registration form, we take it. And we have done a couple of re-entry events where we're trying to get people to register to vote when we can. So we're involved in that as well. Poll worker recruitment and training, of course, is constant, and we are always looking for more poll workers. It takes about 4,000 poll workers and election workers, including our phone banks, to run every election. Of course, we have 3 major elections coming up in 2020, so there's a lot of opportunities for you to work. If you're thinking about doing that, we'd appreciate it. Different ways to vote. Don't forget, we've got vote by mail. This year, we have vote by mail is postage prepaid for you to return that. So when you get your vote by mail ballot, you can fill it out and stick it right back in the mail. You don't have to wait or try to find the groups that will collect them for you. So it helps you, saves money as well as ease, because a lot of people just don't have stamps laying around their house anymore. So we're trying to work really hard with the county commission. We're grateful that they funded that for us, and we do have postage prepaid. So get that vote by mail in right away. If you're not somebody who's comfortable with the postal service, you can also, at our early voting sites, you can bring your vote by mail ballot. We will have a manned box that you can deposit your vote by mail ballot into without standing in the line at the early voting sites. We'll have 16 early voting sites, so we have as many or more as they've ever had in the county, and we will continue to have the same days and times that you have had in the past. So that hasn't changed at all. You'll have the same opportunities for early voting that you've had before. And of course, election day, early voting and vote by mail are trending up. Those are the ones that are getting more and more busy. Election day trends down as a result, but it's still by far the most popular way people vote in Palm Beach County. And so we'll obviously have all of your all the information out for you to help you find your precincts on election day should you choose to go that way. One thing to remind you is on your ballots, you're going to circle and fill in the oval instead of connecting the dots now. And so please do that. We want to tell everybody, we want to make sure there's no question of voter intent. The easiest way for us to do that is to actually use your ballot. So if you present it to us and it doesn't have a lot of stray marks, it doesn't have coffee spilled on it, anything like that, then we'll be able to use your own ballot to send it through. If we have to duplicate, there are all kinds of ways that we do that in the public and with a lot of safety precautions to make sure that we're doing the best job that we can to make sure that we're voting the ballot the way you want it to vote. So please remember to, we also have vote by mail request cards up here if you want to do that. Florida being a primary state we talked about, and early voting, vote by mail, election day voting. And one of the things that we are trying to, like I said, is we want to make sure that when we're out, we're giving people the opportunity to try the machines. One of the things we've heard when we've talked to people about, well, what would stop you from getting out to vote? Why aren't you getting out to vote? If we have a good population that's registered and we're trying to get the voter turnout up. And one of the things we've heard is, well, I don't know, I mean, you got new machines and I'm not sure how to use them and they might be more technological and basically I don't want to be embarrassed if I go in there and I don't know how to use them. So we're trying to make sure that we can stop that. They will find they're very simple to use and we're bringing them out with people to help every opportunity that we can. So please take advantage of that. Early voting, as I mentioned, it's all the same, at least as many locations. We are limited to the types of locations we can do for early voting by statute. We don't have as much flexibility as we do for election day. But these are the times, and we do have this information up here as well. But March 7th through March 16th will be the early voting for the presidential preference primary. And our primary election, of course, is on August 18th. And we'll have the early voting from August 3rd to the 16th. And then the general election being November 3rd. Early voting will be October 19th to November 1st. Vote by mail, again, please make sure that you're making your requests if you're interested, if you have any questions about it. One of the things you can do on our website is you can track the status of your ballot, so you'll know whether or not we've received it, and you'll know whether or not it's been accepted. And if there's any questions at all about it, we do try to reach you if there's any question with your signature, whether you forgot to sign it. Signing it is critical. We cannot count the ballot if it hasn't been signed. So there is other information that they will ask you for, and that is your phone number, email. If you choose not to give us that, that's okay. It doesn't invalidate your ballot at all, but having it will make it easier for us to reach you if there's a problem. Yes, ma'am, you had a...
I remember in my community, a lot of the people for the absentee ballot, their signature was rejected because it wasn't the same as it was when they filled out their forms. And nobody nobody signs their name the same way twice, okay? And so how do you rectify that? Because a lot of the ballots were rejected.
Sure.
And then they get, oh, well, and then they just threw it in the garbage.
Well, point of order here. We'll have questions after and all, and so we can, because I'm sure other people would want that to ask.
Right, and I was about to cover that, so I can tell you. So the signature updates is something that we're always making available. Also, I want to let you know that I think there's a misconception on how many people's votes were not counted because of there being a problem with signature. It was less than 1%, so it wasn't a huge number to begin with, but one of the things that we're going to do in our office a little bit differently is we will make every opportunity, every way we can, we will try to contact the voter. So if we have your phone number, if we have your email, certainly we've always sent the letter out, we'll continue to do that. If we can find you some other way, we'll try to reach you to let you know that there's an issue. Also this year with the new legislation, you have until 2 days, so 5 o'clock on the day, 2 days following the election, is you can come in and cure your signature. So if there's a signature issue with your vote by mail or even with a provisional ballot, if you had to vote a provisional ballot, you have 2 days extra to cure your vote by mail ballots and or provisional, anything with your signature. But we are trying to let people know that if you think your signature has changed, it's very easy to update it. So we've got the forms here, you can request the forms online. And we also, it's not something where we take it and we put it up and try to trace it. We're not saying it has to be the exact signature. We're going to err in favor of the voter. Okay, we want to count, we're in the business of counting as many votes as we can. And of course we have to offset that by making sure that we don't have any fraud going on and that we're making sure that that is your vote. Because the last thing we want to do is have somebody vote your ballot fraudulently by mail, and then on election day you show up to vote. And we say, you already have voter history because we already accepted a vote by mail ballot for you, and you say, well, that wasn't mine. So, because now there's nothing we can do, we can't go and retrieve that ballot. So we do make sure that we can have a fairly good assurance that this is your ballot, and if we have that your signature and your ballot, if there is a question, we will do everything we can to reach you. But the easiest thing to do is if you think your signatures change, a lot of times it's because we've matured or because maybe there's Parkinson's or something else involved that will change your signature. Please just update your signature because we do want to make sure that we can count as many as we can. And with that, I will, if there are questions, or you want to go right into Lisa? Okay, so I guess we're going to hold questions till after. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you our partners in the county. Lisa De La Rionda is the Director of Public Affairs for Palm Beach County. And of course, the census is very important, and we're encouraging everybody to be as active in that as you can. So Lisa.
Thank you very much, Wendy. And joining me today is Pedro Quilarte, and Pedro is the U.S. Census Bureau Specialist. So we're a tag team today. You got two of us for the price of one. I'd like to thank Dr. Vinocour for her vision on actually preparing us up today for our presentation. And that while you heard Wendy Link go over the importance of your vote being counted, we're here to tell you how important it is for you to be counted. Now I'm going to ask you two questions. The first question I'm going to ask you was that were you counted in the 2010 census in Palm Beach County? Were you counted in the 2010 census in Palm Beach County? Okay, we got a little less than half the room. So now, how many of you are going to be counted in the 2020 census in Palm Beach County? Every hand should be raised. Yes, that's why we're here. Now there's one follow-up that I do have. We actually issued a brochure responding to the 2020 census to many of you that were seated prior to the start of the meeting. Does anyone not have one of these brochures? If you don't, raise your hand and keep it high. Dana and Megan will be coming around and giving you a brochure to the individuals that keep their hand raised.
It has a nice little pin with it too, Palm Beach County pin. Solid gold, I think.
Yeah, solid gold. Today it'll be solid gold. So with that, I just want to go over a few things about why it's important to be counted in the 2020 census. It's like a reunion because I worked the 2010 census in Palm Beach County. I may have even been at this meeting back then with our administrator, Virginia Baker. Now, unfortunately, Ms. Baker was not able to make today's meeting, and she sends her regrets. We had an employee recognition program where the county administers the recognition, so she unfortunately was unable to attend, but does say hello from to everyone. Now, why is it important? Now, Pedro and I, we worked on the 2010 census, and so we came together and wanted to make sure that we let you know how important it is to be counted. In this brochure, you're going to find some very brief information about who we are looking to make sure we communicate to about the importance of the census. Every one of you in this room, sitting at those tables, are a trusted voice. And it is your representation that we hope we have your cooperation and partnership and letting the communities that you represent know the importance of responding to the census. If I don't say anything else, that's the most important. Because to make sure we count those 1.5 million residents in Palm Beach County brings programs and services back to our community. Now, as a whole, we know we have to communicate to vulnerable populations. And we have a list of vulnerable populations. We want to make sure that we get to every inch of our community, whether they are limited English, whether they have a transportation deficit, whatever their challenge might be, we're relying on trusted voices to make sure that they will be counted. Now, why is it so important to be counted? In essence, it brings dollars into our community. There's a short illustration, a small illustration here about the economic impact. Each one of us today has a value of about $1,600 per year into our community. You multiply that by all of our residents for 10 years, and that's a substantial amount of money that's necessary to bring in for healthcare, education, public safety, roads, nutrition, infrastructure. There's $675 billion that are being distributed to states around the country. Florida in 2016, according to George Washington University, received about $44 billion to support 55 programs. I didn't list 55 programs, but the information is out there. And that's what the importance is about being counted. Now, how are you going to be counted? That's kind of the fun part, because the census for 2020 will be an online response. You'll be able to do this on a device, on a phone, on a laptop, on a tablet. You'll be receiving an invitation. Every household, every address will be receiving an invitation about mid-March. And with that invitation, you'll have the opportunity to complete the census. You can complete it online. You can make a telephone call for those people that might not feel comfortable doing it online. You can request a paper ballot. And the last way to be counted would be a visit from one of Pedro's colleagues from the U.S. Census Bureau. Now, we're going to try and not get that far, and Pedro will go a little bit into detail on that. But it's important that we share the message that everyone in the household is to be counted. We have many multi-generational households. I had one. I had my father-in-law live with us up until just recently. So it was very important that I make sure he's counted in my household, as well as my son. So we had 3 generations. That's happening. And it may not be so much a direct line like that, but it could be family or friends that are going to be here April 1st, 2020. And seasonal was mentioned by someone in public safety. Well, let me tell you how important seasonal is. Many of your residents in your communities are seasonal. And that's the important message we need to return to them, is to make sure that they know how important it is to count themselves here in Palm Beach County when they are here on April 1st, 2020. Because there are counties all over this country, over 3,000 counties in the country, that are doing the same thing we're doing here today. Letting residents know how important it is to be counted in their county, in their community. But if they're coming from Pennsylvania or New Jersey or Massachusetts and they're here April 1st, we should be counting them. Even though they may have a home somewhere else, the importance is to be counted in Palm Beach County. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Pedro to give you a little background on the census, and then we'll be entertaining questions at Dr. Vinacour's suggestion.
Thank you, Lisa. Again, Pedro Guilarte, I'm with the Atlanta Regional Census Center, and repeating 1 or 2 points from Lisa, and then I'm going to fill a few blanks. Census Day is April 1st. Ideally, we would like to take a snapshot picture of the country on that day. It's not possible. So it's a process. The process begins around mid-March, where every address is going to receive an invitation, a postcard, to go online and fill the census form. If you don't fill it, you don't reply, 10 days later, we're going to send you a reminder. If you ignore that, what's going to happen is we're going to send you actually a paper ballot. If you ignore that, you're going to get a knock at the door from a census enumerator. A number of municipalities in Palm Beach County are actually starting a campaign saying keep the census enumerator out by filling out the census form the moment you get that invitation in the mail. So that's one way to keep that census worker from knocking at your door. Just quickly go online, fill the form, you're done. This is totally nonpartisan, but it does affect money we get from the federal government. There's over 300 federal programs that send money our way based on census counts. If you take all those programs and break them down by category, Lisa's brochure here lists several. The 2 biggest categories that get money from the federal government is healthcare and education. We get a lot of help from the school district. They were here earlier. It's varying that everyone is doing a push to make sure we get everyone counted. In an election, you're successful if you get, what, 70, 80% of the people to vote. In a census, we're not successful if we leave one person out, because that's money that our community is not going to get. Every person brings money to our community. Every person we count brings money to our community. So please remember, keep the census enumerator from knocking at your door by going online. Remind your neighbors, do that. Now, 2 questions I've been asked this morning here by many people. Some of you have applied for census jobs. You haven't heard from us, and you probably won't until late January, early February. That's when the big push is going to come in to hire people. If you're interested in working for the census, jobs pay $17 an hour and up, depending on the location. Please go online, 2020census.gov, and apply. You'll probably get hired.
Say it again.
2020census.gov. We pay for training, and we're going to be hiring several thousand people in Palm Beach County. Hopefully, you can help us keep the number of people we hire down by going online and filling the census form. The second question I've heard a lot today here is about snowbirds. We don't want to count tourists. What's the difference between a tourist and a snowbird? You probably know. I won't tell you. You know the difference. A tourist is probably somebody coming to see the attractions, just comes one year. A snowbird is somebody who comes more frequently, has a greater nexus to our community. If they're Canadian, we want to count them. They're here April 1st, we want to count them. They should fill out the census form. If they come from Connecticut or Pennsylvania, they can fill the census form back home, but we want to count them here. As Lisa was saying, if they fill it here, it's money we're going to get for our health care, for our potholes, for our education here. So we want to count them here. When they get back to Pennsylvania, because they filled the census form here and not there, they're probably going to get a knock at the door from a census worker at their home back in Pennsylvania. And we do train the enumerators to harass people to reply to the census, so they're going to have to tell, no, I filled mine out in Delray Beach. I was in Florida and I filled it out. But it's important to be counted once, and hopefully they'll be counted here, but if not, if they choose to be counted back home, that's all right too. That's really all I have. Just please be a trusted partner and let people know that it's important for them to be counted, to go online and be counted. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you. What a fantastic program today. We've got Wendy Sartori-Link going back up there, along with Lisa Della Rionda. And if there's any questions, you can come right up to this microphone to ask, unless everything's been answered. Do we have somebody walking up here? No. They're just walking out. That's okay, because we gave a lot of information today. You're okay. Well, they'll stay here for after the session here for a little while. If you have any questions, you can ask directly. Remember, next month, December, a great big meeting with the fire rescue, with emergency services, and our own Delray Medical Center on emergency services.
Try the equipment if you haven't had an opportunity to. Just saying, don't forget if you have the opportunity to try our equipment before you go, so you can try the voting equipment. Thanks.
Well, take care. Don't forget.
We'll see you at the census during your expo as well.
Thank you for the info.
They want to avoid it. I guess there's papers you have to sign saying I own this. One paper you have to sign saying I own